All right, Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to you. How about Shemau Shabbat, Shurim Kakodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to all that came out to pushing the word of sincerity and truth. It's the brother Barzal from Great Millstone, Atlanta. And I have this lesson going into experts explain possible reasons behind a 56% jump in youth suicide rates in 10 years. Yeah, this is the spirit that's going on around the world, man. It's a high level of depression. It's a high level of isolation, um, anti-socialism. You know, and one major reason, there's been a jump in suicide is because of technology, man. You know, technology, the sense of relevancy in today's time, which all that is being prevalent in social media. Everybody has a platform, and everybody has a screen that they could put themselves out in the media for. And you know, it, these devices are weapons, man. You know, and a lot of these kids, they get corrupted at an early age by using these devices over excessive use, and this leads to high levels of depression, being all these different perverse websites and things of that nature. And then they try to take antidepressants, and then following the ways of the world, these teens and these youthful children, um, they take antidepressants, or they actually take recreational drugs to cope with life, because that's the norm in today's time, and that's putting them to death too. More people are dying from legal over-the-counter drugs than street drugs. And we in the end time. This is end time prophecy, and you're gonna see the numbers continue to jump. But it says the national youth suicide rate has increased by 56% in 10 years, according to data from the CDC and or Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The suicide rate among people of ages 10 to 24 increased from 6.48 per 100% people in 2007 to 10.6 per 100,000 people in 2017. Among youth 10 to 14, the suicide rate nearly tripled from 2007 to 2017. Yeah, and these numbers are going to continue to go up. It says the chances of a person in this age range dying by suicide is greater than homicide when it's used to be reversed. CDC statistician and author of the reportedly Sally Curtin told the Wall Street Journal, when a leading cause of death among our youth is increasing, it behooves all of us to pay attention and figure out what's going on. Right, so when there's a huge amount of youth committing suicide, that's an indication of the fall of a society, man. You know, to deliberately take your own life, whether by a gunshot, whether by drowning, whether by hangings, trying to find a overdose, like I said, basically filling your stomach up or filling your mouth up with heavy pills to OD. You know, um, that shows you the conditions of the people in the United States of America, and it continues to jump up. It was a time back in the day where, of course, suicide has been since the beginning of time, but it was a time where the masses of Americans, they enjoyed America. This was a major place everybody wanted to come to for tourism, for the beaches, the nice beaches, the entertainment centers. Whether it's opera or like I said, the song and dance, or the sports. But all these things are starting to wear away. It's getting very abrasive. The style of living is very abrasive to the youth, and like I said, this social media crisis is destroying the masses of the people. Everybody's mind, which of course 2/3 of the nation of Israel is mentally destroyed right now. That's why they're known as the Valley of the Shadow of Bows. And if you want to be technical, majority of these people are dead any dang way. You know, but a lot of people, they rush to service, and just off themselves, because they feel dead or they feel empty in the inside. But it says FDA antidepressants warning and decrease in prescriptions. Um, let's see if it's a little bit more meat in this. So it's a lot to this article. Oh, they're going into the opioid crisis. which a lot said there's a lot of drug, excessive drug use. Oh, and also it speaks about TV and media, which that plays an important part in the killing and the desensitizing of the youth. It's so many flashes of death. It's always somebody getting shot in the face, shot in the head, shot in the heart. On television. You watch movies like John Wick or um, any of these action films, and you'll see up to 100+ deaths within 2 hours. You know, you watch two or three of these movies, you done seen over 400 or 500 people get put to death. That triggers certain things in your brain, subconsciously, whether you know it or not. And you got to have a strong mind in these times. This is the time of end time prophecy, man. This is the time where things are gonna boil over, and it hasn't even really got bad. Well, I'm gonna read a little bit on this social media. It says a Pew Research Center study found that 86% of adults between 18 and 24 use some form of social media. Um, I'm gonna jump down to the point. It says additionally, while girls in the U.S. attempt and report considering suicide more often than boys, boys follow through with suicide more often, a phenomenon known as gender paradox, which has existed for decades according to Time magazine. I think boys and girls are really suffering from this. Girls are more overt in their experience. Girls tend to have more internalizing systems, more sadness, and more physical insecurities. Boys tend to be more irritable, more easily frustrated, angry, and also more substance abuse. McIntosh explained. Duckworth said people use the internet and social media as a form of communication, but it's not real human connection that is necessary for young people to develop into successful adults. Your hypothesis for the increase in suicide rate would have included bullying and shaming online as one possibility, and people who report feeling isolated, people who spend time alone online as a kind of communication, but it's not human communication, Duckworth explained, and that's totally true. You're talking to all your friends, or whether online, on social media, or via video games, video game, online gaming, and that type of lifestyle, it destroys the mind of the people. And that's really the main point of the article. It's a sick mind, or excuse me, it's a sick world. Majority of people are sick minded. And that's why the scripture says this is not our rest, because the walls of this place are closing. And if you get settled in this place, then you're gonna fall and collapse with this place. It's just like the movie Titanic. When that gigantic Titanic ship was sinking, not all wanted to jump off the boat. You had individuals that was willing to stay on board until the end. You know, and it's the same thing now. A lot of people aren't trying to push out of America and get out of this society, but this isn't our rest. And the 2/3 of our people that want to stay and trust in Egypt, they're gonna die in Egypt, man. All right. So this is Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 13. For what man is he that can know the counsel of the Most High, or who can think what the will of the Lord is? For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices are but certain. Yeah, and you have to bear those thoughts of misery. You go through your depressions, you go through your lows. You have highs and lows, more lows than highs. But as a man of the Lord, we're the definition of our character is shown through the struggles we go through. Perseverance, endurance, patience, the fruits of the spirit. And these children aren't taught these different characteristics. They're not taught to be patient. They're not taught to suffer. They're not taught to stay down and humble themselves, and allow the Lord to pick them up in due time, as it is written in James. So their first initial instinct is just removing themselves from the face of the earth. And they're not grown and built properly by their parents. Their parents, a majority of these parents are nitwits, man. They're on more drugs, than their parents. They might have elderly parents that are on all kind of drugs, to survive and stay alive, and they're taking the same damn drugs as their grandparents. And here it is, you as a child, you basically just caught in the midst of all this, between education, always picked on in school and all these things, and it presses upon your soul. But it says, for the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind that museth upon many things. Right. And we was having a long elongated talk about the youth in today's time, how just depression is on the rise, and these kids and their suicidal thoughts, suicidal minds is on the rise. That's what's big and trending in hip hop, is to speak about darkness. You have these rappers, XXX Tentacion. You had this rapper, Trippie Redd, and all these little weird rappers with all these tattoos on their faces, and doing all these different, you know, drugs, all these different diverse types of drugs, and they get on the track, and they're basically just, speaking nothing but darkness, man. And you bumping that type of music in your head, 10 to 12 hours a week, 15 hours a week, however much hours. What is that gonna do to you? It's gonna mutate really your whole makeup. And that's why, brothers in the spirit, you have to stay away from these demons, man. Whether it's media, watching too much crazy crap on television or on the internet. Um, Watch what you drink, watch what you eat, because that even promotes stress levels. Your cortisol levels and things of that nature go up and makes you more sick. You got to watch your whole nature in today's time, because this society is built and is centered around death. Revelation the 6th chapter tells you that how Esau is basically death, and Habakkuk the 2nd chapter. So this is just a short lesson. I just wanted to go into this article, and it's just important for us brothers to see what's what's going on in today's time to avoid it at all costs. So when anybody giving all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Shemi, Shabbat Shem, Kakodash, Devon is the apostle, others a great millstone, and Shalom Akim.